Ladies and gentlemen, please give a Texas-sized welcome to Governor Rick Perry.
Let's finish today up. Yeah. Woo. Mr. Bossy, thank you, sir. Thank you all for being here today. And I want to tell you, it's great to be back in the great state of Iowa. That happens to be the state that elected the first female combat veteran to the United States Senate, Miss Joni Ernst. I was pretty proud to campaign over here through the fall for two fabulous people, Governor Terry Branstad and Kim Reynolds. You got a couple of great governors in those two. And I also campaigned for a good man from the 1st Congressional District. He's a guy they used to call Coach. They call him Congressman now. Rod Blum. He was a good one. And I want to say a special thanks to another member of Congress, one who's no holds barred, his passionate conservatism. He's the reason I'm here today. Brother Steve King. Let's hear it for him. But most of all, I want to say thanks to you, the men and women here today who represent a grassroots movement to restore America to its central idea, why we get up every day, and that is freedom. Freedom is God's gift to mankind and America's gift to the world. Freedom made us the most productive nation in the world at the turn of the 20th century. And for freedom, we sent our best and our bravest to fight on foreign soil, lifting the yoke of tyranny off the backs of millions. America is and always will be the last great hope of the free world. And when freedom is imperiled at home, when it's threatened by big government, by massive debt and slow growth, it is the people who have the power to make a great change. And that is exactly what we did at the ballot box last November. We said enough to slow growth tax policies, enough to smothering debt. We said enough to colossal bureaucracies and unaccountable to the people, enough to broken borders that undermine our security. The American people made a clean break from the economic policies that have slowed our recovery at home. And I might add the foreign policies that have weakened our standing abroad. And I got a feeling that after 6 years of disappointment, of mediocrity and decline, a slow course correction is not what voters are going to be looking for in 2016. Now, I might surprise a few of you here today, but I've been thinking a little about 2016. After 6 years of the most divisive president in our modern history, I believe Americans are looking for leaders who will bring the country back together to heal this nation. Americans are sick of this partisan bickering on both sides, of the grandstanding and the gridlock. They want solutions. They don't want sound bites. They want results, not rhetoric. I'm here today to say that it's not good enough for conservatives to be just an opposition force. We got to offer a vision for the future. We have this tremendous opportunity to put forward this pro-growth agenda that returns jobs from overseas, increases wages, and allows the middle-class families to once again climb the ladder of success after a lost decade of economic decline. The time has come. The time has come to usher in a new era of prosperity, of reform, and revival. We can begin by unleashing the American arsenal of energy. Step one for Congress, authorize the building of the Keystone Pipeline. And this president needs to sign it into law. You know, the whole Obama energy policy, it amounts to this long list of projects that we can't begin, permits that we can't grant, studies that we can't conclude, and resources we can't use. That's their policy. It would be tragic if he continues to play to his political base instead of revving up our economic base. We need to open up more of America to energy exploration, to jumpstart the economy, provide lower energy costs for families. And we must realize that energy is not just critical to our economy, this is critical to our national security. So to create jobs, we also need to reform the tax code. You know, America's got one of the highest corporate tax rates in the Western world. And these policies, they're shipping hundreds of thousands of jobs overseas, sending capital fleeing to foreign nations. Our broken, outdated tax code has become this incubator of corruption, of favoritism, of bureaucratic harassment, and it has to be reformed. We need to stop strangling small businesses with overregulation. I want the folks on Main Street, and not just the folks on Wall Street, to be able to make a living in this market. We got runaway agencies like the EPA. They're harming business startups. They're slowing our economic recovery. If we're to drive economic growth, small business has to be that engine. And we got to be honest with the American people about the immoral debt being forced upon the next generation. No great nation has ever taxed and spent its way to prosperity. Never. Let's get our fiscal house in order. It's time to make some tough choices about spending, to stop putting off today's problems on tomorrow's Americans. After 6 years of the Obama presidency, we have a record number of Americans on food stamps. We have a so-called recovery that's weighted down by this massive bureaucracy, crippling regulations, archaic tax laws, and record debt. And the only way that we're going to unleash it is to make major economic and fiscal reforms. And I happen to know something about this. As governor of Texas, I signed 7 balanced budgets. I led a state with one of the lowest tax burdens, and we created the best economic climate in America. We kept spending under control. We provided smart regulations. We improved educational opportunities, and we stopped frivolous lawsuits at the courthouse. See, in the last 14 years, Texas has created almost 1/3 of all the new jobs in America. Think about that. If you just look at the last 7 years alone, starting in December of 2007, you'll see that 1.4 million jobs were created in my home state. And at the same time, the rest of the country lost 400,000 jobs. America can experience a season of economic revival if we expand our energy production, if we reform the tax code, if we reduce regulations on small businesses, and we control the size and scope of government, starting with spending. But I want to share something with you. In 2014, the American people sent a message that goes far beyond economic and fiscal reform. The institutions of our government are in crisis. And for years, our leaders have been lurching from one crisis to the next. Take the tragedy at the border. This summer, the president, he was on a very important mission to Dallas, raising money for needy Democrats. So I invited him to chaperone down to the Rio Grande Valley to see the results of his policy that had brought tens of thousands of unaccompanied minors to Texas. Now, he turned me down, saying he doesn't do photo ops, which really surprised his large gaggle of White House photographers, I'll tell you that. It's really hard to describe the events of last summer. Children were turning themselves in to federal Border Patrol agents, and then they're being sent over to these makeshift federal facilities. Federal agents taken out of the field to change diapers and meet the basic needs of children without parents. On private ranch land, we were seeing and finding dead bodies, victims of human trafficking. You know, these smugglers who exploit this human tragedy, these people are just a product to make a profit. You and I know these are human beings made in the image of God. It's a simple fact that the drug cartels control every square inch of land on the Mexican side of the border, and no one crosses that border without their consent. And it was because of this criminal threat that I took action last summer, and I deployed the Texas National Guard to the border with Mexico. The drug cartels and the transnational gangs, they exploit children, they enslave women, they peddle their drugs and weapons in our country. They are the face of evil. And for the sake of the nation, we did not stand idle against this threat. So here is what I say: if Washington refuses to secure the border, Texas will. This problem has dragged on long enough. While the President bears much of the responsibility for a change in policy that brought more than 70,000 unaccompanied minors to Texas, there's plenty of blame to go around. The fact is, Congress should have acted on this many years ago. And that's the problem with Washington today. Congress has become this debating society. Unable to act, they only talk. The institutions of government are failing while people are dying. And we need to send a message to Congress. Secure the border now. Override this president's lawless executive order. Restore law and order to our border with Mexico. Stand up to this face of evil and protect our citizens. Yeah. It is time. I'll suggest to you it's also time for a major shift in our foreign policy. Time and time again, this administration has chosen to abandon our friends and weaken our alliances. That's what this president's doing. Yes, sir. That's the face of America. That's what they're going to see for the next 2 years. This is why we live in America today. To be able to stand up and tell our government to do what we want to do. That's what we elected them for. Take a look. Okay. Think about our friends who have been abandoned. Think about how we have weakened our alliances around the world. Take Israel. When peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians fell apart, did we stand with our greatest ally in the Middle East? No. Unnamed administration sources were quoted attacking the Israeli prime minister. And I might add, the Secretary of State compared Israel to the apartheid regime of South Africa. That is not the America I know. The America I know stands for freedom, and it stands steadfast with Israel. Thank you. Last year, we saw ISIS terrorists enter Iraq in American tanks, using American weapons, taken cities, secured through the sacrifice of American blood. And this happened because of the president's inaction in Syria, where he allowed opposition forces to become radicalized. Separately, he warned the Syrian dictator that using chemical weapons on his own people was a red line he could not cross. And Assad crossed that line without consequence. Meaning a dictator remains in power today due to this administration's empty words. When a president makes promises that he won't back up, his statements are not a policy, they're just an opinion. And the world pays attention, realizing that they can test both our strength and our resolve. These brutal terrorists do not respect talk. They only respect force. What is at stake here? What is at stake is no less than the preservation of Western values. And what is required is not moral confusion, but moral clarity. And it matters. It matters that we understand all of this for one reason. Without confidence in the truth and goodness of our own values, the great moral inheritance of our own culture, how are we going to deal with the falsehood of theirs? And let me tell you, what happened in Paris reminds us that this is not a rhetorical question. This is a simple fact. When it comes to the Western world fighting this great threat, this administration needs to stop leading from behind. What's needed at this time in history is a clear vision for the world, with America leading again and freedom on the march again, on the most pressing issues of our time, from jobs to energy security to national security. We don't have to settle for the present state of decline. We can usher in a new era of growth and strength and opportunity. I am proud to be an American. I am proud to be a citizen of a country that stands for freedom and that defends freedom around the globe. I'm proud of our free enterprise system that allows people to risk their capital, to both succeed and fail, and get up, dust yourself off, and try again. I'm a proud man who loves American industry and its innovations. I'm proud to have worn the uniform of the United States Air Force. I'm proud of the young men and women who travel to far-flung regions of the world to fight for all that's right in the world. You know, there's nothing wrong in America today that can't be fixed with new leadership. The next 2 years are about hope and revival and a vision to restore America's place in the world. America is looking for a new path forward, and starting today, right here in Iowa, let's give it to them. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you.